Boy, do I have a treat for you right now, okay? Live from the Ukraine, Neil Bailey, a spirited individual, originally hailing from England. You're going to hear that in his voice here. And presently rooted in the vibrant city of Charlotte, North Carolina. His journey of exploration and benevolence was ignited by BBC's children's television program dedicated to amassing funds for agricultural initiatives in Africa. Since that moment, Neil Bailey's path has led him through the landscapes of over 70 countries, often traversed on the back of a motorcycle. He's emerged not only as an intrepid traveler, journalist, photographer, television producer, and a host, but also as a dedicated humanitarian. Neil Bailey's written works predominantly revolve around motorcycle evaluations, twofold journeys, and acts of philanthropy, sometimes seamlessly interwoven. His articles have graced the pages of over 100 publications worldwide. These diverse experiences have inspired him to establish Wellspring International Outreach in 2008, a nonprofit organization channeling resources towards projects that have brought aid to ailing and abandoned children in regions spanning Peru and South Africa to Kenya, and now extending to the war-torn landscapes of Ukraine. He currently serves as the ambassador for Do Good International, collaborative force that backs his fundraising endeavors. And ladies and gentlemen, I welcome Neil Bailey live just on the outside. He'll give you his exact drone coordinates. Just kidding. He's just, my goodness, he's just outside of Kiev. Neil, welcome to the Pete Santilli Show, sir.
Hey, Pete, thanks for having me on. And, big thanks to our mutual friend, Johanna, for, lining me up with all you guys so that I have a chance to talk about my work. She's an amazing lady, and what a powerhouse.
Let me tell you what our work is. We've been huge. I'm very, very passionate about the children, have been. We've been doing this for the better part of 10, 11 years. Early on, I had to come to an awakening, to learn about child sex trafficking, the abuses towards children. So it's taken me a while. I've had to evolve through this. Just like everybody else, it's just too painful to even fathom that anyone would want to harm children, right? But most recently, the world has come awake. The Sound of Freedom, for instance, is one example of, a lot of people coming awake, thank God. But I'll tell you what, there's two things that I'm very passionate about, Neil, and I'm going to throw to you. Number one, I'm understanding that the human trafficking across our southern border here in the United States, that some of those that are charged with, taking care of the children that are coming over the border, now there's 85,000 children that have gone missing. Amazing to me. Disgusting to me. And now I'm going to get really upset because I'm understanding that tens of thousands of children are missing in Ukraine. Is that true?
Yeah, yes, they're taking them to Russia, and of course, obviously, trying to indoctrinate them into Russian ideology. So yeah, they get them young, stick them in the camps, start pumping them full of information to kind of deprogram them from being Ukrainian. So it's a big, big issue here. Yeah. And
okay, what is it, if you don't mind me asking, what is now, by the way, you have to recognize this. You may have to deprogram me because since 2012, 13, 14, I understood the CIA and the State Departments and the U.S. government's involvement in overthrowing Ukraine. And since the 50s, I've read the FOIA documents where the CIA, because they were so incensed with the Soviet Union, of course, I'm a Cold War veteran, that they helped support the Nazis, the Banderites, since the 50s because they were anti-Soviet. So we fueled the Nazi uprising in Ukraine. So when you say they were taking children to a camp somewhere to deprogram them, Ukraine has been deeply embedded by these Nazis, yes or no?
I have no clue. It's not my wheelhouse.
Okay. All right. So what are they deprogramming them from as far as Ukraine is? Like if the Russians
you're taking children children from a Western democracy and putting them into Russian ideology. So, I mean,
Okay.
you're taking them to communism, you're taking them to one policy behaviors. So, I mean, obviously Russia doesn't like this large, well, not particularly large compared to Russia, but this democratic country on their border. So, yeah, they want to take these children.
Okay, is that and if you don't mind, I'm learning, and I'm an outsider. I'm not outside of Kiev. How far outside of Kiev are you right now?
We are probably about 25 clicks from city center.
It's 100 kilometers.
Oh, we're about 100 kilometers from city center.
100 kilometers. Okay.
Yeah, we started in the city today. We're out I'm out with a couple of guys, and we're out on a motorcycle ride. So here's my. I don't know if I'm going the right way here, but this is my buddies. Igor is.
What does Privyet mean?
Where is that?
Privyet. No, tell him I said Privyet.
Privyet.
Oh, hello.
It means hello.
Hello, right? Tell him
Yeah,
I
they
said
said hello.
Privyet. Privyet.
Yeah.
So tell us about Neil, your experiences. Tell us. You've already shared with us what you've learned. I've got tremendous respect because you're on the ground there. This is what I oppose: is that regardless of the ideology on both sides of the equation, to take the
Right.
are they taking children away from their families, separating them from their families?
Yeah,
What's happening?
I mean, it's not been my focus. I mean, other than what I'm hearing from local people, and I mean, pretty much any outlet that you've had, I would have had to find out about this. I mean, my main area of focus has been the Children's Hospital in Lviv in Western Ukraine.
Okay, tell us about it.
Well, I came in last year for 3 weeks with a British journalist called Kieran Ridley, award-winning documentary photographer. And one of the projects he had was a young girl called Sophia who took shrapnel through the front of the brain and, went through her brain, hit the back of her skull, went down the back of her neck, and left her sort of paralyzed and in a more vegetative state. And they eventually evacuated her away to Holland for treatment. So when I found out that he had been working with the Children's Hospital, my goal coming into Ukraine the first time was to raise funds for the Children's Hospital. And what was particularly interesting, sorry, I'm just trying to get my camera good here.
Oh, it's okay.
For me was that you have to think that the medical staff inside the hospitals in Ukraine, they're not pediatricians. I don't know where in the world they would be trained to deal with the injuries of war. You have amputations, shrapnel, bullet wounds. You said you're a veteran. You understand the carnage that's caused by bombs, missiles, and bullets. And so it's been a really massive, steep learning curve for the staff of the Children's Hospital to understand how to treat the injuries that these children are coming to them with. And doctors are coming in from all around the world to kind of, produce these surgeries on the children while the Ukrainian doctors are working alongside them. And then as soon as they're stabilized and they're well enough, they're being evacuated to Austria, to Holland, Germany, different countries around the world where they can receive rehabilitation. So that really was a big focus for me. And then the second focus for me was to travel around with Kieran while he was working on his photo documentation. So that covered everything from soldiers recovering from amputations to refugees. We went into a coal mine, travel with fishermen, and just to see a broad base of Ukrainian life as it's going on inside the country.
How close have you been towards the battlefields per se? I mean, is it have you been pretty much staying away from it? Well, obviously, the after effects or the cause of it through the hospitals, but what about the war itself?
The first trip, we crossed some lines down by Snake Island. We went to do a story about the fishermen, and there was bombing going on, and you know how close you're getting to the front lines and to the action by the severity of the examination at the checkpoints. Like if you go to a checkpoint and it's fairly relaxed, you're quite a long way away. But the closer you get, the more stringent they get, and to go into areas of missile strikes, bombing, or hot zones, you need, to have my international press credentials, my Ukrainian military authority, and then with our fixer out of Western Ukraine, we would have to have local government authority to cross the checkpoints to go in. And then they would have very strict sets of rules about what you can show and post. You know, they don't want people geolocating imagery of the stuff. So, and inadvertently, you know, we came pretty close a few times last year. We were in Mykolaiv when they'd been hit 25 missiles, and we got stuck in the city under missile attack last year. And then we were making our way to Vinnytsia last year, and we'd gone in and out of Odessa. It'd been hit on the way in, hit on the way out. So we kind of would, I hate to be trite and say dodging bullets, but we were sort of dodging things. And we hauled up outside Vinnytsia to do a story about the grain harvest, because this is an incredibly rich agricultural country. I mean, I've been riding with my friends Igor today and Pasha, and, you know, we're riding through just beautiful miles of sunflowers, wheat, corn, plowed fields. I mean, it's a very, very rich agricultural country. And we stopped to do a story about the grain harvest, because obviously with the grain deal, with Ukraine feeding so much of the world, it's a really big story that the Russians are targeting Ukrainian grain supplies. And had we not stopped, we would have been in Vinnytsia when 3 cruise missiles hit. So we went in about 2 hours after 3 cruise missiles hit the center of the city, and it was just shocking in a way that you can't understand, to see the damage it causes to humans, to buildings, to property. You know, it was still on fire when we went in, and just, you know, bits of building, bits of humans, bits of shit. I mean, it's just, and these are residential areas, you know, lots of apartments and flats, cafeterias and restaurants. So it was a little shocking last year at times.
How is and I say the morale of the troops is one thing, and I'm understanding there are hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian troops that have been just sent to their slaughter. But the attitude, obviously, you need to have popular support. What's the general consensus? Do people want to stop the war? What are you hearing from the populace there? I
mean, they want to win. They want their freedom. I mean, I think, you know, speaking for the Ukrainian people I know, you know, they know what life would be like if Russia wins this war. And
what would it be like?
Well, they would be enslaved. I mean, they would be murdered, raped, killed. I mean, set to work. They would lose their democracy, their freedom, their abilities to travel. They would literally just become subservient slaves to the Russian Empire. And
wow,
you know, we'd be.
Well, may I ask, just because of what I know, and again, it's from afar. You're there. You're talking to the people.
Yeah.
And I've studied, and I love the Ukrainian people. By the way, I do. I love them.
Yeah. I mean, literally, in a nutshell, they're fighting for their freedom.
Okay. Now, the eastern area of Ukraine, the Donbass. This is the information that came to me. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it's been going on for 8+ years. That the Nazi Svoboda and the Banderites have been for 8 years just slaughtering eastern Ukrainian Jews in the Donbass region, predominantly, you know, Russian speakers, Russian loyalists. But those people, when the Russian Federation said we're going to liberate the Donbass region, the people, from the way it was conveyed to me, it seemed like the people were welcoming that. So you're saying that they're going to be enslaved, but they're welcoming being enslaved? Is that propaganda that's coming to us that's wrong about how the people feel about the liberation of the Donbass?
Hang on just for a second. Yeah, I mean, Donbass is part of Ukraine by international law, but I mean, really, I have not been focusing on that, because my job is stories and fundraising. So I've been really focused on the needs of what people need, allowing people to tell their stories. Like I say, raising money for the Children's Hospital. We've done numerous small projects on the ground. And so I've been here now about 2.5 weeks, and I've been in Western Ukraine the whole time.
2.5 weeks, is that correct?
2.5 weeks so far, yes.
Okay. All right, good.
I spent a chunk of it. I've spent all of that time in Western Ukraine, Lviv, and in Kiev. And one of the things that I can say from my time last year is it's been really encouraging to see how much life is going on inside Ukraine, how much rebuilding has gone on. And, you know, sometimes these topics are really, really heavy. I mean, we've been into Bucha, we've been into Irpin, we've been into Hostomel and Boryanko. And, you know, we were there last year, very soon after occupation. You know, the world saw the images of that, you know, twisted, blown up bridge into Irpin with the civilians being shelled. And, you know, the stories were very, very hard last year. because people were very, very fresh from this. And this year, it is just incredible to see the rebuilding. It's incredible to see life coming back. And even riding into Kiev last week, when we rode into Kiev a year ago, there was a huge ring around the city of just destroyed shopping malls, garages, workshops, buildings, and houses. And I just rode in this year, and I think, where's all the destruction? And in the year that I've been gone, there's been a massive amount of rebuilding. So you were looking at a school at a small, very, very small rural village by a lake which got hit. I think that's wow. Forgive me, the name of the towns escape me sometimes.
That's okay. Regardless of its geographic location, that's someone's town, someone's school. This is the result of war.
This was an image from Bucha in last year, and like I said, we were there very, very soon after the damage and of course the occupation. And this is something that I've been doing a lot, Pete, this trip, is just spending time with people. And, I'm sitting here with my friends Igor and Pasha, and they're just really nice, kind people. And, they seem as if everything in the world is fine. But when you take a little bit of time and you go a little bit deep and you take a bit of time, everybody just has these absolutely horrendous stories of what it was like the day they looked up and, as they say, there were rockets flying. And there were missiles coming in, and they knew that their whole life was suddenly going to change. So, there's fascinating things come about every day. So in what they do here, obviously they have air alert systems on their phones, and so you don't always have to wait to hear an alarm going. And then they have a specific program on Telegram channel where they can look and see which type of missiles are coming and where they're going to be, and whether or not they need to react to it. Yeah, this is one of the little girls here that lost her leg.
So they're getting almost real-time reports via Telegram? Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. So, I mean, I was talking to my son about it, and he said, Dad, it's like they've got the weather channel for missiles.
Wow.
It's phenomenal. But, I mean, this is how people are adapting. And like I said, life is really going on. The economy is really pushing forward in the western part. And, I think I'm going to be going to Odessa tomorrow, and the stories are going to get harder again because we're closer to Mykolaiv, we're closer to the front line. They've been getting hit a lot lately. Yesterday was Independence Day here, and my friends were very concerned, obviously, that Russia might try to do something. So we took the trip outside of the city yesterday. Everything was good. I think there was a missile alert with some MiGs flying, but there was nothing came into the city.
Not near Odessa.
At night near Odessa, there was some missiles last night. And we were hit in Lviv about 10 days ago, but just the one night. Wow. So it's been quite calm.
If you don't mind, and by the way, I'd like to do this. I'm just thinking out loud here. I want to stay in contact with you, Neil. I want to stay in contact with you through. Yeah, let's stay in very close contact. As a matter of fact, I'm going to engage with you. Make sure that we have your cell phone number, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, you can do WhatsApp with me. We can do calls.
Okay.
I'm working with a really cool Desert Storm veteran by the name of Frank Dean. Works for the Rotary Club, and when he knew I was coming, he went out and raised $60,000 for wheelchairs, and he wants to come with me to deliver the wheelchairs, and he'll turn 80. So there's some great stories, and then I'm going also to Rotary Club in Odessa tomorrow. To find out about a meal program. And this week I've spent with my friend Igor. He's a sound engineer, motorcyclist. He's traveled all over the world making documentaries, obviously not at the moment because of the war. And it's been really interesting to sort of live with a family for the week, take the dog for a walk, have the neighbors over for a barbecue. And when you sit with everybody, all of a sudden they will tell you, how they deal with missile alerts, what it was like for them when they had to evacuate, how they got their parents out, who they've lost, what they've lost, what they felt. And, there isn't a person inside Ukraine that doesn't have a really, really incredible story about loss. I mean, my friend Pasha, I'm sitting here with, let me turn my camera on so you can see these guys. I'm not very good at this. I don't know. Can you see these guys?
No, that's great. That's perfect. Yes, I sure can.
Yeah, there's Igor and Pasha. So, Pasha was telling me that, he's an IT guy and software engineer. So as soon as the war broke out, he joined a team of volunteers so that they could start coordinating drone strikes. And is that correct? They could deploy. Yeah, in the beginning of the war. Yeah, yeah.
And what are their names, by the way?
Pasha and Igor. So
Pasha and Igor. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, Pasha went to work for this organization basically until his money ran out, and then he had to go get a job. And now he's going to go into the military and work with IT for the military and intelligence and stuff. So, the sacrifices all these people are making is just phenomenal, and it's just story after story after story. And then,
do me a favor, tell them. I love the people of Ukraine, and for the better part, I did a little mini documentary. I'm going to share it with you. When Ukraine was overthrown by the evil, levitating, demonic woman named Victoria Nuland, the State Department, and what happened in the Maidan, we've been covering Ukraine. So I love the people of Ukraine. Let them know that. Now, how do you say? Tell them I said Dos Vidania. What does Dos Vidania mean?
Sorry?
Dos Vidania.
I think that's Russian for you're taking off, right? Can you see our bikes, Pete?
I can. I was going to ask you about the bikes. What kind of bikes do you have?
I'm riding a BMW GS 1250 Adventure. I picked it up in Munich. It's a press bike from BMW.
A 1250. That's a big bike. A 1250.
Yeah, it is actually. It's pretty big, and can you see it?
Yeah, 1250 BMW. Wow, look at that. Yeah, that's a nice little scooter you got there. Wow.
Yeah, it's really comfy, and I'm making some miles. I tell you, I got to tell you, I was so surprised when BMW loaned me one the first time to go into a war zone. It's like, so I've got my bulletproof vest on the back here. So,
do you really?
That way, if going into.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You have a bulletproof vest that you have to wear?
Only if we're going into stuff that's hot, like here. I mean, I don't know if you can see where I'm at. I'm just in a beautiful residential neighborhood, and we're sitting in the cafeteria. The girls are on the phone. Just beautiful and peaceful in this part of the world at the moment. So, but again,
Neil,
you've always got this.
Neil, can I ask you something? Do you intend to go to the other side, to the Russian side, to get their perspective as well? And the.
Oh no! Good Lord.
No.
I want to come back in one piece.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Let me ask you something. The United States of America has shipped tens of billions of dollars in support to the Ukrainians. Are the Ukrainians seeing the benefits of all of the money that we're sending? We're sending them over $100 billion in stuff. Are they seeing it? Do they see the support from the United States?
Yeah, I mean, they're very, very grateful for everything America is doing. I mean, it's, coming here and people realizing I'm from America is just fabulous. You'll go into a coffee shop and they don't want to take the money. And, people are really, really pleased that I'm here and really appreciate what America is doing. I mean, you do have to remember there's more than 50 countries around the world supplying aid, and you're fighting the second largest force in the world. Yeah. And it's a country of somewhat 25, 30 million people. I mean, in terms of a modern day David and Goliath story. So I think however much money any country is sending, I mean, they can always do with more, because it's just, you think about the resources Russia is bringing to the table, and this basically essentially small country is doing an incredible job fighting.
Pasha and Igor, are there, you say that one of them was working as an IT professional for the military, or are either of them actively working with the military?
Pasha will go and sign up, and he will work for the army here very soon. Yes, yeah, he's going to do IT for the military inside Kiev, and we've got the documentary filmmaker, sound engineer, and he has traveled all over the world, from Sri Lanka to Cambodia to Canada, all over Europe, and of course he can't travel at the moment.
As an independent documentary filmmaker?
No. Who did you work for? Who was your company you worked with?
But now working with BBC.
Yeah, now at the moment he's working with BBC.
With the BBC? Okay.
Yeah, at the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think translation.
And Neil, let's do this. We've got okay. I want to stay engaged with you. I want to. I'll reach out to you. Maybe we'll connect via WhatsApp. I want to stay in touch with you. Okay. And as you do your recording, and I want to support your efforts. I want you to take the remaining moments that we have here, and I want you to tell our listening audience, how do we find you? How do we support you? What are your needs? What do we need to do for you here from the United States?
Yeah, if you just put my name in Google, it's a weird spelling. I pop up on Instagram, Facebook. I'm super easy to get a hold of. I can send you my number to call on. You can go through Wellspring. One of the stories, Pete, that maybe we can talk about another time is I spent a week in Superhumans in Lviv, and it's a project funded and founded in part by Howard Buffett for the disabled military veterans. Do I still have you?
Yes. Oh yeah, I just had your website up on the page.
Thank you. And it's really, I'd love to sit there and chat with you and send you some stuff. Some of the amputees I sent you are in Superhumans, and it's absolutely brilliant because what they're doing with these young men, Pete, is they're taking them in, they're rehabilitating them, they're getting them walking, they're getting them their prosthesis, some of them are getting bionic hands and legs. Some of them are getting mechanical ones because they're a bit more robust. But the basic thing is there was a young lad called Nazar, and I spent 2-3 days chatting with him about his war experience. And, when we finally were done, the last day we were there, he got his leg and he walked for the first time. And there's a Ukrainian word, voila, or voila. It means freedom. It means heart. And all this young man wanted to do is get home to his city and walk into town with his girlfriend. And then he said to me, plus she is excited she gets to have sex with a superhuman.
Wow. That's
and I mean, think about that. He's a wounded veteran.
Yes.
But he's going home. His girlfriend's receiving him home on his new leg as a superhuman. And I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think the way the Ukrainian medical are dealing with amputations and rehabilitation, I think they're going to change the way we look at medicine with all of this. Mm-hmm. I really do. I think they're doing a phenomenal job. So there are some great stories coming out of Ukraine. And that's kind of where I've been the last couple of weeks. The positivity, the joy, the love, and just... Where
are you going to be going? Okay, so this weekend, where do you plan to be going?
I'm leaving for Odessa. I'm leaving for Odessa tomorrow.
Odessa tomorrow. How long is it going to take you to get there?
I'll be down in the Black Sea.
Odessa tomorrow. How long is it going to take you to get there?
I should get there in the day. 4, 5, 6 hours.
Where do you stay? And you're traveling by motorcycle.
I'm staying with Igor at the family house. I'll just take a hotel outside Odessa. I know some bike guys there. They've got a friend has a hotel. I'll stay there. The hotels are great.
They are.
Gas station's great. Roads are a bit bumpy in places, but everything. The infrastructure that's not being bombed is fine. It's a very modern country with great hotels, great internet.
Do me a favor here. Turn the camera back around because the imagery, the messaging that we get. It looks just from the couple of shots that you've sent. You're at a beautiful cafe. That building is attacked. We have the impression, of course, that Ukraine is a war-torn country.
It is in places.
Yes, right.
But I think
it's beautiful. Is what I'm trying to say.
You're talking about a country about the size of Texas, and they do have a front line that's about 700 or 800 kilometers long. And believe me, if I was in a place that had been struck with missiles and we were having this conversation, it would be sickening to your stomach. But this is Ukraine that is not under attack. But that doesn't mean that the missile couldn't come in here at any minute. Yeah, and I think that's the underlying thing for Ukrainians is like. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. Everybody's pretty happy. They're moving on with their life, and I must admit, there's always that low-grade fever.
Yeah. Okay, Neil, we're going to be in touch with you. We're going to have you back on. Okay, that's all we have time for.
Have to live with it.
Neil, I'll get back in touch with you. We'll have you back on. That's all we have time for. We're going to cut to the break. I'll be in touch with you. We're going to bring you on. I'm going to get in touch with you through the weekend. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, thanks, Pete. Really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you.